Looks like it's just me and you right now. Jock will
Yeah,
be
it's us.
yeah, Jock will be joining us shortly, so he'll be popping in here at some point. But today's podcast episode will be about the struggles of a podcast.
Hmm.
Um, you've been with me from the very beginning. I brought the idea to you first before I made any moves because I wanted to pick your
How,
brain. Huh?
how many years has it been?
Two.
Two now.
Yeah, because I got this computer in 2020. You
Hmm.
know all that unemployment money.
Yeah,
So
using it responsibly.
yeah. It was an investment. So
Hmm.
with I brought the idea to you first, right? So I wanted to pick your brain and see what you thought of it because I know you have more of a business mind about it. I brought it to I think it was in the group chat in Messenger. Julius mentioned he was like, yeah, if y'all gonna do this, think of it as a business. I was thinking like, hey, we just talking online. We just you know what I'm saying? Like just talking online and
Hmm.
posting it. Like I didn't think of it as a business. Oh, and there goes Jock. Welcome,
Hmm.
Jock.
How's
Welcome in, John.
So,
everyone?
huh?
How's everyone doing? Did we start?
Yeah, we just started though, so you're good.
Yeah, we're live now. Your volume's a little low. Let me crank you up.
Oh, hang on. I think I'm probably using the wrong microphone.
Hey, you want to carry on?
But yeah, so from if I've talked to people about like the podcast and sometimes people have asked me like what is the not necessarily the downsides or the downfall of it, but like what hurdles did I have to overcome? So from thought to execution, I think I did pretty good. You know what I'm saying? I thought about it. I said, "Hey, Alex, what you think about this?" You was like, "Yeah, let's go for it. All right, let's do it." And then we did it, right? Um, the I think for me the hardest part is sustaining it. It's keeping it on the foundation. Uh, 'Cause like Alex, you was like you said, you was here from the beginning. We had one person with us, James. He left out of it for personal reasons, and so at first I was wondering how will I be able to sustain without a founding member, right?
Hmm.
So I found
Oh,
me,
Justice League principle.
yeah. So it's just like but we still going. We're still growing and going. I remember Jack. I don't know if he can necessarily hear me right now, but I
I can
remember.
hear you.
Oh, there you go. All right. So I remember one time in the beginning. I ain't gonna lie, I was in my feelings a little bit. So, Jack, I remember you had did an episode, or you was doing a podcast about AI, I believe,
Oh
and
yeah.
you had asked Alex to join, right? So when Alex told me, this is before I actually knew you, right? So Alex was like, "Hey, just to let you know, I'm gonna be doing a podcast with Jock." I'm like, "What? Like, no." But I was like, "But you're not under contract. I'm not paying you. Go ahead, and knock yourself out, right?" You know what I mean? But I was being selfish. So I don't know if you have done any more uh, podcasts on your end, Jock.
A
And if you
few.
have, how's that going for you? Or were any struggles with you when you try to start your podcast, or what?
So I was kind of in a unique position. So over the pandemic, I had this idea of doing kind of like an underground podcast where I would interview people and we would have just like a really honest. I actually at one point I wanted to name it Uncomfortable Conversations.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up not going with that name, but basically we would tackle just like really serious issues, really controversial issues, and be just like really honest and open about it. And like there's been a couple of awkward conversations for sure. And the whole idea was that it would be like a hidden YouTube link, and only the interviewed and myself would have the links, and we could share them to whoever wanted. But it was never meant to be like this like big public podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Like part of it was that sometimes like I would interview people, and they were like, "Yeah, it's a good thing this is gonna be hidden because like I would get fired if like anyone ever heard any of this." And over time, it became harder and harder to find people who were willing to have that conversation, like those kinds
Mm-hmm.
of conversations. And eventually the podcast just kind of simmered down. And I also started to get it wasn't exactly burnout. It was more that once you have enough of those conversations, you start to get an idea of like where people really stand and they're not that interesting anymore. And you also realize that like there's a point where like I would rather go in depth. So like there's things that we talk about privately, for example, especially you and I, Alex. Like
Mhm.
there's things like we've gone extremely deep into. And it's the kind of stuff that like, a part of me is like it would be great if this journey was captured in a podcast or whatever, but it's also just something like I enjoy doing personally. Like I just enjoy doing like those deep intellectual explorations with someone who
Mm-hmm.
kind of shares that same tendency. And so the podcast eventually just faded out, really. And so I stopped doing it. I haven't recorded an episode in probably over a year. And I mean, obviously, the people still have the shared links. I haven't even checked that channel to see if like there's new views or anything. But yeah, it's sort of just like faded out. It was a fun experiment at the beginning, and it just didn't withstand the test of time as far as like my own interest in it.
I think that is a big thing to try to keep interest for the viewers and the people that's in it. Because I know Alex, there was a few times where Alex was just not engaged, right? Especially in the beginning. So I was like, all right, I gotta find a way. Because me and Alex has also had intellectual conversations. Like he'll send me a video randomly on Discord, and he'll like, hey, we need to watch this when you get time. All right, cool. We'll talk. We'll watch it. We'll talk about it. So, and then with us three and with Kenny or with the podcast, we had intellectual conversation, right? So to keep this is my personal struggle has been with Alex sometimes to keep him locked in, right? So it's just like because I know like he just updated me on his life prior to us going live, right? And with him having so much going on, I need to keep him engaged with this podcast. You know what I'm saying? Because I've been trying to find ways because I don't always expect you to be here, Jock, or Alex to be here, or Kenny to be, or whoever to be here. So I need to figure out how to have it to where I can do an episode by myself and keep the same interest level. It's I'm still learning how to try to do that, but I find it easier to bounce off of people. Cause like what you just said with your experience, I can bounce off of that. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to bounce off yourself when you know what I mean. It's hard. So the biggest part is trying to keep Kenny's interest, Alex's interest, Jock, and then say you're now. I have to try to keep you interested, Jock, because now you return back and you're more or less a regular member so far at this season. And it's
Yeah, I
just
think I've been a number one. Yeah.
yeah. So it's just kind of like this is hard. So
I-
it's
So
hard.
I'll say this about like solo podcasts. So I've done a couple of like solo podcasts. One, they tend to either be really short or really long. And there's no in between. There's no one
Yeah.
of them that's like, oh, it's just like 20 minutes. It's like, no, it's either 5 minutes or a full hour. And what I find is that for solo podcasts, like I do not have that bandwidth to like, I don't even want to say fake anything, but like I show up because I wanted to show up and I felt like I needed to talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say like it's even more so than like wanting to talk about something. I felt like I needed to address some of those issues or just like bring up a topic. And that helps a lot with the motivation, but then you enter sort of like that artist trap of like you only work when you're super inspired, which means that like you're gonna either work like 12 hours a day for a month or fucking nothing for 6 months, right? Because like that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of how inspiration is. When that's all you're relying on versus discipline, your inconsistency goes through the roof. Um, that being said, there are people who consistently do solo podcasts. So I'm thinking of like someone like Theo Vaughn. He does a lot of solo podcasts, but even he has started to like take on guests because he was just like the energy is just better. And I think
Yeah.
there's something objective about that, where it's just like a podcast when it's just one person monologuing, unless it's like they're super passionate and super knowledgeable about the thing. having even two people is just better energy. Like I think that's just a factual thing. I think a conversation is just more interesting on average than a monologue. Straight
Yeah,
up.
it's like it don't help that I'm monotone as it is. So if you hearing my voice at the same tone, no matter what energy I have for 30 minutes, that's a long time. So you know what I mean? So it's like if I feel like when you say it's either 5 minutes or an hour, I think with me, if it was just me, it would be so somebody in the chat in the chat box. I don't know who this is. They said, "Golly, the guy at the bottom is jacked." You know who that is?
that sounds like a Kenny. That sounds like a
Gosh,
Kenny line.
No, it said
that's
whoever.
not even though.
Yeah, it's blunted
3 times
kidnapper.
a day. I really don't know. I meant to go this morning though, so I'm not gonna lie to you though. I did mean to go this morning. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
But,
I thought you knew who that was.
Nah, I have no idea who this
Oh,
is.
nah, in my own person, WSG. I have no idea. But thank you for being in the for the group chat.
I'm not even jacked like that though.
But
Yo,
That's the
no,
thing.
Alex, do you still have pictures of you at Otakon when you were a Spartan?
Yes, I think I do.
You should post some of that shit. Let them see what jacked you look, bro.
Yeah, nah.
Do you remember that girl that like you almost gave a heart attack to during
Yes.
Twister? Like,
That's a whole separate story. If we ever made a Patreon, you'd have to subscribe for that.
subscribe for your half naked
Yeah.
cosplay picture.
Oh man, yeah, nah.
yeah, Alex broke some hearts. Alex fucking like
gosh.
people were dying in front of him. Like
That was very interesting to see. Very interesting to see back then.
He said he'd be pulling them. He said, please teach him.
Nah, please.
It wasn't that, man. It was like he just used flash attack over and over again, but like with his pecs. It was
Oh my
like
God.
Oh, and also
the girls were fucking
and
losing.
I would like to thank blunted kidnapper. He is now following the channel. Thank you. Thank you for following. Yeah.
So my games got you a follower, huh?
Yeah. Your milkshake brought that boy to the yard. So yeah, so as far as back to the podcast thing. So also another thing is that's funny. That's funny as hell.
Move on.
I mean,
So-
it's a good segue, staying on topic.
Yeah, so the thing is, so keeping interest, and then one of the things for me was trying to have everybody on the same energy level. I know sometimes even there were some topics I really didn't want to do, but I had to do it because I want to do an episode and trying to keep that motivational energy and that I know I don't sound excited, but there are times when I am excited or I don't look excited, but I am. But also, like I said, with Alex being pretty much part of every single one from the very beginning, trying to make sure, like, because being that Alex is a founding member and Kenny's a founding member, trying to keep them engaged. I cannot stress how hard that is. Because them in particular, you know what I mean?
Why do you think it's so hard
to
keep... Hold. Why do you think it's so hard to keep me engaged with things?
Well, it's you and Kenny.
I haven't
So
it's too, but
so it's like I'm trying to figure out I'm trying to articulate it. So
Yeah.
there are
do you want me to
some,
go first?
huh?
Do you want me to go first? Because I haven't taken.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Like, hopefully you'll make something click for me and I can.
Okay. So one of the things about X and Kenny is like this is something I both love about you guys, and also sometimes can be frustrating. When you guys don't want to do something or you don't give a shit about that thing, that's it. Like it's just it. It's just like, and the thing about like keeping you guys interested in things is that like it's so palpable and it's so like obvious, and like you guys like aren't someone who like you can kind of push into a direction that like you want, and so eventually it's just like a brick wall. And like I said, it's something I love about you guys, but it's something like also sometimes when like I really want to do something, it can be a little bit like, but it's also just part of like being friends with people. It's like, some friends are just like not very malleable and they're not very movable, and you guys are like very low on the malleability scale, right? Like it's usually just like what you guys want to do. And if everything lines up, then like it's good. And if not, then like it can be a little bit like hit and miss. So I can totally see how like for podcasts, especially for topics that like don't, I mean, we've had those conversations where it's like I'll bring up a topic, or even hell, sometimes you guys bring up a topic and I'm just not fucking about it, and vice versa. But I think that's also just part of like the human experience, like not all topics or conversations are gonna excite people the same way. And if you have people with like strong personalities that like just aren't interested, then like that will have like a very strong pull and effect on whether or not the conversation can even happen.
Yeah. So he basically, well said, Josh. Thank you.
Let me respond to that then.
Yeah,
So the first thing I want to say with that one is I agree with most of everything you said there. If it's a topic I don't care about, I'll make that known obviously early in before podcasts, during podcasts, as to the reason why I'm not entertained in that avenue of what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I never will shut down a conversation because I don't want to have it, unless it is very blatant obvious that there's not going to be any further understanding, learning, or anything of that nature. But if it's something that we've already discussed that does not need any more words, I'm not going to waste any more oxygen on this planet to talk about it. I think there's stark differences between that. There is a double-edged sword complex with it, because on one end, when you're saying strong personality is difficult and is not malleable, not difficult in the sense of can't work with, but difficult where it won't be molded into the direction that you, as in maybe the viewer, the leader of the podcast, whomever will want it to go. But that necessarily isn't a bad thing either. But I get where difficulties can come from it, where if you're trying to talk about a topic that isn't perceived on my end that high level or worth talking about, how are you going to have a podcast about it, or a good podcast about it, when you obviously know this person doesn't care about the topic? I get that.
But what I don't know if you are aware, Alex, there has been growth from your end, because there are some topics that you've blatantly told me, I don't really care, but I will talk about it. And
Yeah,
that's all. And
I've
that's
said
all
that.
I just want to talk about. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I don't
So-
think there's ever been a time where I've told you, not doing that topic.
No. I
don't
don't
think
mean
there's
like that.
ever-
No, you never been like, nah, I'm not fucking with that. It wasn't like that. It was just like, look, I don't have much an opinion, but you have that.
Yeah, Jack guy's name is Alex. Yeah,
No, this dude, he's gonna find you. He's gonna find you. But
we
anyway,
need to start doing my term and all that stuff again too. But we go.
yeah. So
carry on though.
you have He's anyway. So you have.
Damn,
Yeah, he's coming for you.
I know, right? Like,
He
what
went
did I
like
do to
it's
you?
pedal to the metal.
Yeah.
But-
I likes you and I'm gonna get you. What is that line?
I like you and I want you.
And I want you. We can do this the easy way. Or we can do this the hard way.
But yeah, so with you've never said no, I'm not doing this. You've always at least clued me in at some point. Now, I mean, I think in the beginning, when I had chosen a topic, this before I started doing the voting system thing, right? And I was like, hey, we're doing this topic. And then I found out after the fact that, cause I don't know if I told y'all, I don't know if it was the timing of when I told y'all, but regardless, sometimes y'all have told me after the fact, yeah, that wasn't a topic I thoroughly like enjoyed to discuss. And I'm like, well, damn, like, well, what can I do to notice early? You know what I'm saying? So then I was like, well, give the power to the people or to the other members of the podcast, and like, okay, we can vote. And then since I decided to do that, it's been easier. You know what I'm saying? I'll give you about like 3 topics, if other. Like the other day, Alex said he picked other, and he said he want to talk about the PlayStation Showcase. It's just that the votes didn't fall his way, so we talking about this. Another issue. Well, before I go to that, so there has been. I do appreciate that the fact that you had, even though you wasn't fully invested, you still held the conversation, and that's all I could really ask for. As far as the other side, one of the biggest issues for me in particular, yeah, I'm moving forward. So, is marketability or marketing the podcast. He said you got
Cracks
2
knuckles.
doors. I don't know.
Fucking Billy.
I think
I
you
don't
know
know
this
what that
person.
means.
No, I don't know this person. Do you know this person?
I don't.
I keep thinking it's Kenny, but maybe
Nah,
not.
that's not Kenny.
Yeah, that's definitely not Kenny.
Nah, that's not how he speaks.
Yeah.
That's not how he.
Yeah, that's not how he
I
talks. He
mean,
don't talk like that.
yeah, there is such a thing as an organic fan. You know what happens.
Yeah, but
it does.
he's locked in on Alex.
Yeah, on this bottom
That
screen right
happens.
now, though. Yeah,
That
no.
happens.
But
That is a part of doing a podcast. Sometimes you
Mm.
get fans who are very locked in on you.
so
Yeah.
another thing was the marketing of the podcast. So that's one of my biggest struggles thus far. I'm gotten more out of my own way with the podcast than before. So I've just started doing reels. So like I'll take like a minute clip of the podcast that I feel like people will want people to click on it, and I'll post it on Instagram. And Jesus Christ. And then so I would post a clip of whatever the highlighted conversation of that podcast or the highlighted whatever of the podcast, and hopefully that'll get clicks. I need to get more out of my own way and post more often. 'Cause I know on Reddit is powerful. Alex knows how powerful Reddit is, because of his tournament, he'll post his tournament, and then like a slew of people would join his tournament Discord. And I went to Reddit for my Discord, for the Blerd Initiative Discord. I mean Discord. I said Discord, and a lot of people are joining from that as well. Among sitting. Anyway, so
Carry on.
I lost my train of thought.
You lost your train of thought. All right, you know what? So let me take over for a second for you then. So difficulties in the podcast, or difficulties of a podcast. I think it's the same difficulty that anyone else would come into with any type of business, and that's just
Yeah, I
being
agree.
consistent with it in general. So like, there's always going to be time periods where your inspiration strikes, like what Jock was saying earlier, and you just kind of feed off of that. But eventually that inspiration dies. You're kind of just left with the pieces of either what you created and completed, or possibly just kind of like sadness because there's nothing else around to inspire you. Like there's times where we have topics that are like really engaging that everyone kind of wants to talk about. There's other times where it's topics that if you want like the clicks and you want to be talked about, you can do that, but it's like selling your soul. For example, talking about the Little Mermaid being black. Instant selling soul topic. I don't care to discuss that like that, to be honest with you,
So let me
because
pause
I
you
don't
for a
really
second.
care like that. Mhm.
That I'm glad you said that, 'cause that was going to be my next thing. So remember when we did the topic on
The
how,
costume one.
huh?
It was like the costume one where
The
like
one
a
with
white girl
the white
won.
girl won the
What
Blerd.
cosplay Shuri?
Yeah. No,
Or
no,
I
no, no,
brought
no,
that
no,
up
no,
with,
no.
or
The
something
white,
else.
when it was a BlerdCon, and the white girl won
The white girl won the competition BlerdCon 2021
yeah,
last year.
that was one of the most viewed YouTube videos
That we
on the
did, I
YouTube
guess.
channel. That one, it was another
Really?
one when I did one personally. It was a solo one about recasting T'Challa, and I was like, don't recast T'Challa, because that guy, I knew that would get clicks. I know the majority is recast T'Challa, but if soon as somebody go against that idea, they're like, what? We got to hear what he has to say, and I knew that, but I didn't like the thought of going just for clicks.
Yeah.
Even though clicks are nice, it's nice to see on the screen or whatever. It brings in the revenue as eventually, but
There's an in between to this though. So like especially with current events, right? So I'm gonna bring this like more towards tutorials because that's something I do a bit more consistently. A lot of times you just end up having sort of like a priorities list, right? And you can move stuff up because they're gonna get more clicks. But as long as you filter your priorities list, like your list entirely, so that's only stuff that you are interested and qualified to talk about, you can hit like a really nice compromise. So for example, like the costume thing, we all kind of had like our opinions on it, and like we all kind of shared our opinions. So like that, I don't feel like that was all that much of selling out because like it was something we were discussing like in person, and like we were
Yeah.
talking about how that was just a egregious error of management and just bad everything on everyone's part. And sort of like those like weird like race baity moments are like a thing. And so I feel like you don't necessarily have to like sell your soul, but if a current event topic comes on and you're like, I actually do have opinions on this, and this would get me clicks. There's nothing wrong with that. I feel like that's like a win-win, right? I feel like that's kind of like one of the best scenarios to have happen, where it's like you happen to be passionate about something that actually will get you clicks, you know?
At the same, okay, and I can roll with that thought process. So then the issue for me is, so when something happens, as you know how YouTube or social media goes, people have a video like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Us, there's no given time we can just hop and just, oh, this happened, let's talk about it, and then boom, we get it, I edit the video, and then I post it. Like, it's not likely that's going to happen to keep up with the current events. We can,
I'm gonna push back real quick. Because I feel like we've never actually tried to do that.
I'm
I
not in
agree.
Discord.
I don't think we've ever tried to like chase a current trend or anything like that. Like that's the point I'm trying to make with it, is to be, depending on what your goal is. And I was going to make this kind of circle back into the main point of it, is like staying true to why you started the podcast. Like, what did you start this podcast for versus a year or 2 years later down the line, what the podcast is now, and keeping that focus. And it isn't something unique. Once again, none of this stuff is, I think, unique to podcasts. I think this is just people in business as a whole. Like, to give an example of like a popular franchise, right? Think of Resident Evil 1 and what that was and what it did to the entire gaming industry. Now look at what Resident Evil has become. Look at something like, let's say, Street Fighter, the original Street Fighter, art direction, style, gameplay. Look at the change that Street Fighter that's occurred within that gaming franchise. Even better, my favorite ones always bring up to people. Look at Assassin's Creed 1, the very first Assassin's Creed created. Look at what Assassin's Creed has become down the line.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying these changes are inherently bad. I'm not trying to say that at all, because change
is
can go
inevitable.
in a direction. But the thing is, why are you doing the change, and is the change dictated or necessary, or are you just doing this change so more people are more eyes on you? Like, is there a reason for this change outside of, I want more money, I want more clicks, I want more views? That's what I'm referring to ultimately at the end of this.
Yeah, so that's what I felt. I never thought that personally, like if you chase current events and discuss them, like Ab and Preach or whoever else, that
I don't think they per se do that.
Not I'm sorry, not Ab and Preach, but you know what I'm saying. The people who,
there's some people that are in that, just like,
Yeah.
topic of the week, this is what's trending, I'm gonna talk about it.
Yeah, so I think I didn't ever think that was necessarily selling your soul, Jacques. That just wasn't. And as Alex said, sometimes you're gonna have to grow out of where you started from. So now the evolution is natural, right? So I have been, well, me personally, I've thought of ways to keep the podcast like going more and more, right? So now we stream live on Twitch. We get interactions, obviously, by this wonderful viewer right here. You know what I'm saying? He is very engaged with the podcast. You know what I'm saying? And even though he's more engaged with Alex,
hey, part of the podcast, so
right?
I'm happy for it.
But it's engagement nonetheless, and that's what I was shooting for. So, there's always another step you have to take. I remember we did the first episode, Alex, and I was trying to get like sound effects and stuff. It didn't work out, but I was going to. I was trying to get the sound effects to put it on to try to give it more of a.
Blunted, you a funny dude. I'm not gonna lie.
Who,
funny
me?
dude,
Yes,
funny girl.
funny.
Nah, Blunted.
Oh,
I don't know, dude. A funny person.
So
That's the Studios, dude.
So, you know what I'm saying? I was trying to give it sound effects to give it more of a show feel. It didn't work out. I was going to work out the kinks after this particular season. And then for season 7, you know, just try to add more and more to make it more engaging.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the fact that I even mentioned a possibility of season 7 is extraordinary on its own. A lot of people,
Yeah, we
and
made it that far.
yeah, and I like to thank y'all for being it. Even though sometimes it's hard to grab y'all and get y'all attention, I'm glad that y'all stayed, and I appreciate that. I just want to get that shout out the way. So, as far
Sound
like I
like my
said,
old boss right now, Dante. I never understood when I was a kid. He'd always start up meetings. When I used to work at Wachovia Wells Fargo. He'd walk in, we'd have our little cult like meetings because that's what I always called them. He'd bring in everyone before we open, and he'd say, "Thank all y'all for coming into work today. Because if y'all didn't come in, I couldn't do what I needed to do." I always looked at them weird, like, "What do you mean? People coming to work because they need money?" Like, yeah, I'm coming into work, I got bills to pay.
yeah, but
And then I
people,
grew older in the workforce and
yeah, yeah,
realized the
yeah,
fuckery that goes on in the workforce. I'm like, I understand why he said this now. Like, years
Oh,
later, where I'm like, dang, sometimes people just legit don't show up to work. Like,
yeah.
they just gone. So, no, I get it.
And with that same energy, you can just simply not show up for the podcast,
Yeah, I could literally say, all
and
right, I'll be there, and then just
just don't show up. And then
don't show up.
I'm sitting here
Sit here
mad
live.
and cussing and like,
Yeah,
man, F Alex, I'm tired of his shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I
yeah,
could be
yeah.
like that, but I mean, you show up. So after going through whatever emotional roller coaster I may go through, if you're late or something, then I just be like, but he did show up. I try to look at the brighter side of it.
Hmm.
I don't. So the marketing.
what
Oh
told
yeah,
you
yeah,
what?
yeah. Oh, he saw my when I was drinking my coffee, my delicious coffee. But
Ah, nice.
no. So back to the marketing.
Hmm.
I've
Right.
personally run out of ideas on how to push it. I don't know. I think it's more of getting out of my own way. If y'all have
Yeah.
any
My
ideas,
guy,
please talk to me.
my
Help
guy.
me.
I work in
help
marketing.
help
Why didn't you?
me.
Why didn't you
I
just
didn't know
ask
you was in
me?
marketing. I didn't. Okay, well now I know. So now I'm gonna
We've
come to
had
you.
several conversations about how
And,
much I'm into marketing.
and you know what? You're absolutely right. My bad. That's me.
Think about McDonald's and using red. Nah, no worries. I
Yeah,
feel like
I'll
that.
take that L.
It's, to be honest, though, that's something that happens a lot with friends, which, like, I think sometimes friends literally forget what other friends do for a living, in that, like, friends are down to help friends in ways other than, like, emotional support. Like, that's great. Like, when you have a bad breakup, you can talk to your friend, but also, like, if you have, like, a business or a project and, like, you're struggling with something and you have a friend, I mean, like, I did your brand identity kit for Blerd Talk, you
I
know?
blunted, by the way, that's the dude that's jacked. All right, not me.
Oh, Kenny walked in.
Yeah, Kenny Wall, you
Oh
might not
shit,
see
it's
it that
about to
much
get
because
real.
he wearing his,
It's a,
I'm
And,
not jacked. This is
he
the
got
dude
glasses
that's
too.
jacked.
And we all
And he got
professional because we
glasses
got
too.
glasses.
Yeah, we're still going to hop in.
but yeah, I mean,
Got flex real quick. Bro, what? He said, well, he wants me to flex. He thinks I'm
Alex
jacked.
has an admirer.
Yeah,
Alex has
yeah.
a not very secret admirer.
Man, fuck yeah, Alex is flex.
Wow, bro, that's just
Shots
funny.
have been fired.
Who is
Who
that?
is
We need
this?
to find out who that is.
We do. After podcast.
Yeah, find his IP address.
Investigate.
What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up?
Hey,
What's up?
you
What's
get the
up?
double. All right, better.
Welcome to the
Let's
podcast, Kenny.
Kenny get set up.
Yeah, what's up? What's up?
Um,
What's up?
hey man, not much, just in the middle. But to continue my point, oh okay, so aside from like friends often forgetting what like their friends do for a living, to address your issue personally, Dante, a few things I would say is like one, I know you're on TikTok,
Oh yeah, I
and
definitely.
I think you should use TikTok. So I
Mhm.
feel like I've said this several times. As a human being, I fucking hate what TikTok is. As a marketing professional, I have to respect its marketing power.
Mhm.
And you, as someone who actually enjoys TikTok, my guy, leverage that shit.
Mhm.
Like, and I know that like most people see, because like there's sort of like this aura of professionalism, almost tying back to what our viewer said. A lot of times people see things and they think like, oh, well, that's the more professional looking thing, right? So like advertising on Instagram looks more professional than advertising on TikTok. The reality, however, is that TikTok is a wildly more powerful marketing asset,
I
and
agree.
so is Reddit. than even Instagram. And so I would say, like, keep on Reddit and then get on TikTok.
Well,
And
see,
then
Mm.
if
I
you,
have to push back on that for a sec, though,
what's
because
up?
really it still depends on your brand and how you want to market it and how you need to be viewed professionally. Like, for example, on TikTok, I
Mm,
don't think you're going to see like accountants and firms advertising on TikTok. Maybe you do. I don't use TikTok, but it also appeals to what people think TikTok is. Like, OnlyFans, wildly popular, right? You're not going to have an accountant being like, yeah, I'll crunch your taxes on OnlyFans because
If you
it's not the
subscribe for $5
appropriate
a
medium.
month,
So, like, you
Oh my
also have to be
gosh,
wary of
yeah.
that, depending on, for Dante, how do you want this podcast to be marketed into what type of crowd? TikTok, wildly popular with young people, probably ages, I'd say, 10 to like 20, 24, around that age demographic. Do you
It's
want,
actually a bit broader than that. TikTok is
yeah,
very weird. TikTok is
mhm.
insanely popular. It's
Oh, it is.
also
I'm just saying,
incredibly
like, the
popular.
most people you probably would bring in is probably that age demographic. Now, obviously, I haven't done
Not
like the market
necessarily.
analysis for it, but it also depends on the age you want to bring in, the type of people you want to bring in. I don't know if podcasts advertise it for TikTok's wildly popular, like brand sponsorship and things of saying, hey, use this product are. Because, for podcasts, that's a lot of time investment. TikTok flourishes off of these tiny clips, like very small micro level clip, like Vines did, 10, 15, 30 seconds. Versus podcasts, which are formats, what, 20, 30, 40 minutes, an hour? I'm
mm.
not saying you can't bring in people that way, but it also is like a thought process of what kind of people do I want to bring in, and do I want to bring in people that have XYZ demographic behind them? I'm
So
not
this
saying
is a
TikTok's bad, but
So
just things to think about as well.
I think also, let's say I do clips, right? Because I done clip, like I said, I'm doing the minute clips on Instagram. I
Hmm.
don't know if TikTok allows a minute clip or a minute reel.
yeah, yeah, they
So
do allow they allow like oddly long content sometimes. But actually, I want to address Alex's point real quick. So one, TikTok's demographic is actually massive and a lot more varied than people realize. It's actually kind of crazy. Like, there's way more older people, especially older women on TikTok. There's a lot more young black men on TikTok than people realize. When I mean young black men, I mean like our age. Like, so I guess no, we're not middle. Yeah, no, we're young. We're young black men. Um, but yeah, like the demographics on TikTok
that made
is
me feel
actually
better.
pretty insane. And there's TikTok is one of those things where
I
it's so
died.
powerful. It's so powerful in part because of the sheer number of people that even if you find a niche on TikTok, that is thousands, maybe dozens of thousands of people. Like it is such like a numbers game at that point. And the other thing about pulling people in with TikTok content, that is actually part of what TikTok does. So like let's say Dante has just like a slew of Blerd Talk and clips and like Sim stuff and all the stuff that Dante
I
does.
I
Sim
appreciate
stuff.
you noticing what I'm doing.
Sim
I
stuff, all
know.
Yeah,
that, all that
low
hood
key, low
sim
key, you
life.
low key, you told me you've been looking. Thank you, I appreciate that.
Look at that peep from time to time. But let's say that like someone comes across like a slew of Dante stuff, they could sit there for like 30 minutes easily just going through his shit. And
Mm.
it's actually not that uncommon for people to go from TikTok to somewhere else. That is literally part of why TikTok's marketing is so respected, right? One core element of using something as a marketing tool is that people will click off of that to go to your shit. If people
Mm.
never did that, it would never be respected as a marketing tool.
You
Because
talk about the
like in
hyperlinks.
exactly like in marketing, you always have to address like above the board and below the board stuff. Above the board is stuff that you can measure, so like clicks. Below the board stuff are stuff that you cannot measure. So let's say like your brand appears on a rap video and your sales increase. You can assume that that appearance in that rap video is why people are buying your shit more, but you have no way of knowing exactly what's up.
You know what's funny? We just watched the episode on She-Hulk. They literally just we literally just
What?
She-Hulk. Cause She-Hulk in the show she got sued. She was getting sued for using the name She-Hulk, but Titania was like selling products called She-Hulk. So she was suing her for the name. That's why I was just like,
I ain't watched
it
that
kind of
episode yet.
fits. It kind of
Yeah,
fits in with what y'all are saying with the branding and everything like that.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, and fuck, I had a lot. There was a third point Alex made about TikTok that I wanted to answer.
Culture.
viewership.
That's mostly culture, yeah.
The culture and how you want your brand to be received.
Yeah, America.
Depending on, how you advertise it and where you advertise it.
America's TikTok scene is way different from the main creators China's TikTok, because China's TikTok is actually they have educational things. They have a lot of cleaning or cooking things, or people doing doing a lot of productive
Achieving
things,
shit.
but achieving things. But on our culture. Our culture is all about what's hot, what is the new dance,
entertainment.
what's the new it's what's the new dance and everything like that. That's why when I was in Kuwait or whatnot, most people just see Americans as just entertainment, because that's mainly what we are. It's just entertainment for the rest of the world.
Yep.
Unless you throwing hands, then it's a whole different story.
Still entertainment.
Yeah, still entertainment, but
entertainment.
But yeah. So go ahead.
Now, to kind of address that, so Dante, there actually is a niche on TikTok in which you would fit quite well, and you're the one who let me know that existed. So you said that oftentimes on TikTok, you'll hear Black history facts that, of course, you look up later on, which everyone should. Don't randomly trust it on the internet.
Yeah.
But that is the niche that already exists. People are out there on TikTok as Black intellectuals spitting facts, right? And there's also just Black entertainers making entertainment content, and you happen to fit into both.
No, I know what Alex laughed at that, but go ahead though, Jock.
What? Wait, what?
No.
Did he say something
Yeah,
again?
he said, "Yo, real shit. Yeah, I like the smartest Black guys I've ever met. I fuck with y'all."
It's not even that though.
We fuck with you. We fuck with you.
Yeah.
We fuck with you too.
Nah, the moment Jack said there's this niche of Black content creators who are intellectuals, all I thought was all the woke people who say something that's 2 or 3 sentences. It's people knew this already, and then they're like, "Stay woke, my friends," and then they clip it.
So that's where I get those memes from.
I know, that's why I was laughing.
And I use them sarcastically. Yeah. So okay, quick tangent. So quick tangent. My brother, he had some gummy bears, right? And he was like, "Hey, you want some gummy bears?" I said, "No, my brother, that got pork in it. You don't eat that swine, my God." And so he didn't know it was pork and gummy bears. So he actually, and what's funny, we did the research in the car, he's Googling it. And, no, he's not Googling it. He's looking at the ingredients and he's reading it. He's like, oh, it does have pork. So I brought knowledge, my brother. Knowledge. But no, so.
I didn't play football. I'm just a bodybuilder. That's it.
Yeah, I was about to say, Kenny never played no high school football a day in his life.
We played tackle in the neighborhood.
Man, we're not gonna talk about that. We're not gonna talk.
Yeah, we can't talk about that, Dante. We played tackle in the neighborhood.
But back to what topic at hand. Yeah, it's quite interesting on how a lot of other countries use TikTok. Even no, we're not Muslim. Use TikTok, and we even have a house here in the States called was it the party house?
Oh, you're talking about the influencer houses.
Influencer houses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we this for
TikTok
people doing stupid.
Yeah.
So it's sad that how we use the platform. It's sad how we use the platforms. It's real sad how we use any platform that comes out. Facebook, MySpace, show my age. As G's,
Oh man,
I'm sure you.
Friendster.
Snapchat used to be fun and everything like that. Now girls over here popping,
They said the hot pockets.
Yeah. So it's crazy and how so it's interesting on how we corrupt as we back to the thing we were talking about before, anything that we touch is even podcasts get messed up in some shape or form.
Podcast everything. That was the other thing, the final note is just you know how difficult it is to try and start a podcast when the thing is right now to start a podcast?
Yeah.
Everyone's starting podcasts.
And I didn't know that.
Starting podcasts.
Yeah, porn.
Intellectual. It used to be something just straight for
It used to be
intellectuals
lit.
to learn
It
things
used to be
from.
lit.
Now it's just porn stars are like, yeah, tell us
Okay.
your time in the industry. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I'm saying like
It fits in the same boat as like, you know, anime and gaming. That used to
I'm
be
gonna
something that
respond to
everybody
that.
used to be. Go ahead.
mhm.
I'm actually gonna respond to that real quick. That is something that can be a hidden good thing. So
Yeah, I'll say, and I don't see it as a bad thing. But I'm saying is the brand, should I say, the term podcast has expanded out so much. And I'd seen in the past 5 years. It's like, how would you ever make a stake? Like let's say you want to be a video game reviewer, right? Back in the day, it used to be just a couple of them. You'd have IGN, you'd have GameSpot, you'd have a
Gamer
couple other
Ranks.
smaller sized game ranks. Well, not even them. I'm just talking back then. Like I'm talking about early 2000s. Everyone reviews video games now. You can go on Twitch and watch whatever game you want any time of the day you want. You can get content for that game. How could you ever make a spot in the game review industry at this point?
Right.
How?
So,
Because it's so
okay.
saturated. So that's what I'm saying. Podcasts have become that as well.
Yeah, it's starting to get that way. It's starting to
that is two. So okay, that's actually two different things. There is something growing massively, and then there's genuine oversaturation of your niche. Those are kind of like two things that are often very related. So the reason why more people doing podcasts in general and about anything is actually really good is that in the same way that there's just more podcasts out there are now more people who are accustomed to the idea of podcasts as a valid form of entertainment, which when it was much smaller, this wasn't a thing. Like there are just more people who
Are
seek out
talking online.
podcasts.
Yeah,
No, but there are now more people who seek podcasts and
Right,
see it
right.
as a valid form of entertainment, something they consume. That
So
actually increases. Hang on, this is actually really
Yeah, got
important
you.
for me. Let me finish it. So this actually increases number of people that could possibly see your podcast in general, and that's actually good for you. The other thing that it does is that it might take. So, for example, I would say that, like, by the name Blerd Talk, you were generally appealing to like Black intellectuals, right? And you could say that a large swath of them have already been into podcast culture, right? But now with podcasts being a big thing, a bigger thing, there's just more of them. So literally this has brought more of the kind of people that you're looking to engage with closer to you. And now if you brand correctly and you own your niche, this is actually a very good thing for you. This is something like people often struggle with. Just because there's a lot of something going on doesn't mean that like you're genuinely competing with everyone. So like you're not going to compete with like a financial advisory podcast. You're not competing with porn podcasts, right? Like you're not competing for those demographics. So like the fact that they exist doesn't really matter aside from the fact that the general population is just more okay with the idea of a podcast. The second thing, to Alex's point, is that so the video game review thing though, that is a niche. When your genuine niche is oversaturated, you got problems.
No, he laughing. He laughing at the
Nothing
dude.
about you, John. I'm reading.
Y'all are making it my
No, they not. Bro, shut up.
Yo, it's not you, Jock.
Always
He's
hit
laughing
me.
at.
And he always is like, I got
I
bigger
realize
arms
no.
than him. And I'm like,
I
no, I
realize-
don't. That's all. You're good, Jock. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I'm just saying, one is a
It's
funny
all good.
person.
It's so good. It's so good. But yeah, like when your genuine niche is now oversaturated, that's when you're in trouble. That's when it's bad. So like the fact that the video game market specifically is oversaturated means that now you're in trouble and maybe you gotta like find a new niche and maybe try to apply the same things, but that market is a little too narrow. Right?
Right.
Like other video game podcasts are genuinely your competitors versus porn podcasts and other competitors. Music podcasts are not, well, yeah, because I know you're into music, so maybe you'll get into that space at some point. But you see what I mean? Where it's like a hidden good thing. It's at least for you specifically in your position.
Yeah. So when I first thought of the Blerd part, like we are all Black nerds. So I was like, okay, boom, got that. So then it was like, okay, comic books, anime, video games. It's like the stereotypical things that Blerds enjoy. So then it was like, okay, we can talk about that. But then it occurred to me, how often can we talk about that and still be interesting? So then that's when the topics expanded. You know what I'm saying? Like, because like I saw that there were more podcasts about that avenue with video games, comic books, and such like that. I wanted to expand and have intellectual conversations because we have these intellectual conversations all the time anyway. So like, so why not do it as a podcast? Like Alex know what I'm talking about because that's why he's laughing. Because I was like, why we already be having them? I'll wake up one morning and Alex sent me like 3 videos from YouTube that he watched, like and it's like it's intellectual videos. So I'm like, why not pull from that and use that for content? Kenny, you got something to say?
I've been trying to say something for a long time. Like, back to that, I've been sending Dante funny shit. I be cracking up. Like, shit, I be sending that big ass fish, bro. Got Alex back.
We're talking about in America.
But no, it's just like I like to separate, have fun and stuff. But back to what he was, talking about saturation of podcasts and everything. What I realized from a whole bunch of
And speak towards the mic. Speak towards the mic. Your sound is getting.
Why you remember like that?
But what I've realized by watching a lot of podcasts, a lot of gaming reviews and everything like that, is that these people don't know exactly what the hell they're doing at some points.
You made that known.
I make that wide as hell known, and I realize that a lot of people just don't know how to talk, especially between each other, because I've watched podcasts and during the heat debate, you have to remain level-headed. You can't just be all right,
that's a funny dude, man. That's a funny person. Son.
You can't just straight blurt out every time. Like sometimes, yes, it happens. It happens in a heated debate. You're getting in a conversation. Y'all get confrontational. You want to blurt something out, but you got to remain level-headed. And I watch some of these podcasts, and I'll be listening to somebody talk. Somebody will be like, "But," it's just like, "Hey, bro, hold on a second. He was actually saying something really good. Give me a second." But
you saw a ghost? What's wrong with you?
Nah, some dropped it. But and then on the gaming aspect, like I wish we really would hit back on that because
Alex made that point recently.
Yeah, it's like the reviews that we've watched, and I told Alex this a long time ago. Every time I'm starting to watch game reviews less and less because they're not really honestly talking about anything. They're just giving out, which I understand is their personal opinion, but it's not a review of something like, hey, is this a game that you might want? Anything like that. It's just like, I didn't like this. I didn't like that. Me. You're giving out content to people. You're not yourself. So so it's like, stop doing that. Like recent review I watched that Alex, I forgot which one was it. The game review you watched where he was like, the guy really didn't even explain anything really.
Was it the one that I posted in the Discord, or
I don't know if it even.
You on Dragon Ball, which not superhero. What was it called? The last year or so.
Oh, the superhero. That was the last one, and that one I even had I even looked at that one sideways because I had some questionable. Like I was like, I need to talk to him myself because I don't even think he watched the movie.
Yeah, I remember I sent that to you. I remember I sent it to you. I know you. I watched it. Oh, I went to go see it and I liked it.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
It was pretty good. Yeah,
that could be the next topic. Let's actually talk about them.
Yeah. So, but so it's just like reviewers and also podcasts, and that's where I'm like the saturation. Yeah, saturation is good but it's also bad because you get a lot of half-ass work. And you'll get more half-ass work than actually good work. And that's because half-ass is easier to push out than actually good. I mean, look at half the fucking shit we have in America. So,
yeah. To jump in that bandwagon, just to carry on from the ending point of like half-ass work coming out. That's the main issue I have with the saturation portion is because when you start something out initially, when you're the front runner in obviously marketing, when you are the only one doing it, you get obviously 100% of the consumers. And then you slowly get competition, and people obviously leave because they find other things they like. I think the easiest explanation of this can be seen as like DC and Marvel, where both have superpowers in their worlds, however you'd like to splice it. They are very, very, very similar. the issues started rising where the market of superheroes becomes so saturated and there is so much shit being pushed out that you can't really accurately determine what is good or not because there's just so much shit out there. So a lot of people make the argument with the Marvel series where after Endgame everything turned to trash. But because Marvel is one of the mainstays of the superhero genre, doesn't really matter because people just are going to watch it anyway because
Mm-hmm.
they've been so enshrouded in this market where everything is just trash. So it becomes very weird. Let's bring it back to the podcast market where you have to fight against the initial thought that everything you do is trash because the main stake runners are trash. Like when Kenny was mentioning podcasts, in essence, podcast etiquette, what people in these other podcasts they do, especially a lot of the black podcasts that we've seen, they just interrupt each other, talk over each other, and things like that. Well, a large reason for that is because that's what gets clicks. People like seeing that anger or
Yeah,
that
that drama.
hatred or that drama. And I don't like that stuff at all. But the market dictates what survives and what doesn't. People love clicking on those dramas and those angry remarks and those snide remarks, or like, you don't talk, I get to talk now. I listen to you talk. Like, people love clicking on that stuff. I don't like that at all. So I'm gonna like say, hey, I'm gonna stray away from any type of behavior like that. But that's what the market seems to like.
All right. So
This
yeah,
sharing mic thing gotta stop. Y'all,
hell, you don't have to worry about nothing, sir.
I think it's
Okay?
cute.
You right there. But no, it's back to what I was saying to Alice. Like I think it was like last year because we've had these conversations multiple times before even stepping into this podcast. It's back to the fact that it's like I remember I told Alex way back when I was like, "Yo, I'd rather sit there and watch Korean drama shows for a full year than to watch just one thing of an American show because this is how quality how like as he was saying when this thing get overly saturated it becomes horrible. She-Hulk pretty fucking bad. To be honest.
so okay. Another tangent for a second. Let's discuss She-Hulk just for a little bit. So She-Hulk is exactly what I thought it would be, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
So I don't think the general public knows what She-Hulk, as far as the comic books, was consistent of. It was always breaking the fourth wall. You know what I'm saying? Like she's talking to you, the reader, like a Deadpool type of vibe. Being that that's what they're doing, literally what they're doing. I guess people are expecting something great. They're expecting the next end game. And like this, I think Blunt had mentioned it earlier in the group in the little chat. This man said, "Did y'all see the She-Hulk twerking with Megan Thee Stallion?" Yes, we did. I enjoyed it, but majority hated it. Stop. Just let She-Hulk twerk.
I told Alex back then. He was like, "What does She-Hulk even do?" I was like, "To be honest, to be 100% honest, She-Hulk is literally just a character on the side. To be honest, that's all she is. She like I was like she be sleeping around because she be getting it in. I ain't gonna lie.
I clap it.
And so that's her main thing. Like I was like, listen, you gotta watch if you don't understand the comics, She-Hulk comic, and you're watching it, yeah, you're gonna be mad. Me, I'm just taking it with strides. I'm like, this is funny. Some parts are funny. I'm just there to see my cameo homies. Wong, Daredevil when he come up, all my homies. That's the main reason I'm there for. But her herself, and they even and the funny thing is, it was a little jab, but nobody really realized it during that one episode when the guy asked, he was like, "Do you like Jen Walters?" And he was like, "Jen Walters is just boring." And I'm just like, "Yeah, she is. She's boring as shit. She-Hulk is what he went on a date with, and who he wanted to, go with." So it took the realization. It was like, yeah, She-Hulk is more entertaining than the actual character herself.
What's wrong, Alex? What's wrong, Alex? Like you was going through it.
Because this is exactly what I just said, where there's so much trash quality put out there, and people are gonna click and watch it anyway. So remember what Jock was saying about marketing above the line, below the line, and how above you can measure and below you can't measure. Well, if the main thing they're measuring is how many people click this button to watch She-Hulk, or how many people subscribe to watch She-Hulk, which is easily trackable by numbers, you don't know if people are actually clicking She-Hulk because they like it, or you don't know if they're clicking She-Hulk for the cameos. And obviously, most people are clicking for probably not liking She-Hulk for the cameos. But the thing is, the execs don't know that, so they're gonna create more shitty content because they think people like it. So the issue is, people need to not click She-Hulk so that they will not keep creating shitty content. But it's way too far down the line. So that's the issue that we have here, is because people are still clicking on She-Hulk and talking about She-Hulk and making videos about She-Hulk and saying things like, "Did you see Meg Thee Stallion twerk with She-Hulk?" Which has nothing to do with anything about quality decision making, quality story, quality anything. Who the fuck cares? Why is she in the MCU? It means
why is Megan in the
nothing.
MCU?
Yes.
Why is she?
That's
God.
bro, and that's funny. Megan Thee Stallion is officially in the MCU.
In the MCU, in their MCU cinematic universe. Yeah, she is officially in the. It's like, what? Why is this a thing? Because pop culture seems to rule all, no matter what age you're in America, which is absolutely ridiculous. And in a sense, rap culture seems to now start to rule it all when it used to just be underground. So it's just like, this is the most ridiculous crap ever. And because people are clicking and talking about it, it's only going to get worse. It only has gotten worse. They're going to continuously destroy all the characters. They've continuously destroyed Thor. Who even knows what that character is? They've continuously destroyed Bruce Banner. Who the freak knows what that character is anymore? They actually used to have stories that were compelling, that meant something. Now everyone's just a joke. The entire everything's a joke. But it don't matter, because they get in the clicks, and that's what we can measure.
But Alex, can you flex for our viewers? Blunted wants you to flex. He's been asking like the whole podcast. Can you just
the whole time for you to flex?
Flex that on, dog. You got big arms with me, dog.
I'm using Alex. I'm sexualizing Alex for clicks.
The sexualization of the black male body. Stay woke, my brothers.
Go ahead, flex that on. BA bicep, dog. BA biceps. Flex the whole game.
He ain't gonna do it.
Not giving it to you, not that easy.
But
yeah, subscribe to his OnlyFans if you want to see him flex.
Subscribe to every single piece of media that I've ever created, which I think is 2.
But it's quite interesting how the media and social media like dictates everything. Especially but the Dante already knows. The one that accepts me the most is games, bro.
Oh, that triggers you.
Do not put social media. I don't give up. Just make your game.
The Stallion about to be in Outer Worlds too.
Bro, I'm gonna shoot that bitch.
She gonna be twerking on some.
God damn. What? She already got shot, Kenny. She already got shot. You don't need to shoot her again.
Damn, Alex. Kenny, Kenny. Flex real quick. Flex for the viewer.
Listen, I don't need to flex with nobody else.
Oh,
he's a cheap date.
Flip it, Dante. Flip it.
Oh man, that's funny.
Content.
But
oh man,
thank you, Blunted, for joining the podcast and being entertaining as hell in the chat. Is there
when anything, I bought that Aston Martin, y'all thought it was brand?
Is there anything y'all wish to add to this?
I feel like the whole She-Hulk thing derailed the conversation so bad.
She-Hulk is like we're gonna say it's a interesting show.
This dude's funny. Like, I want to know who this is.
Yeah, I went from up here.
Yo, can we get him on? Like, I've been contemplating this. Can we get him on?
No, he has to be in the Discord. He can join the Discord though. That's how you.
Rules to this, John. What you mean?
Give him an invite. I don't know what the rules are. I'm a freelancer.
He can join the Discord. The link is in the description. Blerd Talk Podcast on all streaming platforms, bro.
All streaming platforms.
But yeah, the She-Hulk show was entertaining. But other than that, is it good? It's a up in the air thing. Like I'm at the point where they just introduced Daredevil, and I'm hoping that that's when the show goes off. But it's probably just gonna be me caring about Daredevil. So I'm just that's my boy. So
Yeah.
The Blended, the Discord is in the about section. I think
Can someone just
it's
drop
somewhere
a
on my
link in-
page.
it's in the Discord section, my guy.
Whatever, it's there.
You gotta fix it because it's broken.
Oh, it
Is
is.
it?
Well,
Yeah, it is.
somebody
Somebody
grab a
be
link.
Be a leader. You gotta
No.
tell a person.
Is somebody grabbing the link?
Hold
No?
up, wait a minute.
I guess I'll do it. Oh, I'm in that. I'm in that bitch.
The fusion of responsibility. Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I'll find out.
But,
But he'll. I'll.
So
He'll be
actually, there's
back.
one thing I wanted to bring up.
Mhm.
With the gaming oversaturation and dropping quality thing, that is a very unfortunately hard problem to solve. Typically, when you have an oversaturation like that and there's low quality, the answer will be that there will be a niche of very high quality stuff that appears, and that is where all the high quality seeking people would go. The problem is, especially when it comes to like game reviews and stuff like that, most of that content is on YouTube and essentially for free. And so you do not have that sort of like price gating, right? Unless you maybe go on somewhere like Patreon or whatever and you have like a private Patreon. But then the thing is like how do you get known? You'd have to release content on YouTube and then competition in that sphere is going to get a little weird. So it's a lot harder to solve that problem with high quality because typically the high quality solution is for spaces where there is already like a financial like gate, right? So if you think about like I don't know soap, let's just take soap. Let's say like most soap is just shitty, right? And it fucking makes your skin flake and all that, and it's just terrible for you. And then someone comes out with some super super high end, high quality soap. They can price that thing for like 10 times the competitor, but that is their market, and they can reach people just the same way by just like getting themselves into stores like everyone else does. With that sort of YouTube market, it's you essentially just have to make toxic content if you want to get seen.
And I'm
so-
not about making. I mean, I can be very toxic, as
we know.
y'all know. But it's just not. I'm not. That's not me naturally, and I don't want to do that just for the sake of getting views. I don't agree.
No. And I mean, there's also maybe like looking into like other formats because then there's things like I think Substack is one where like there is like a gate, a financial gate, and it's people who go there paying more, expecting quality, and so that is now like that that space, and that's how you survive and prosper in that space. Is you bring quality. But yeah, no, it's a very tough problem because that's one of the issues with making things free is that quality is kind of it can fall down.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like it sucks, because you would think that making things free would be good, but then this is a natural occurring problem when things are free. The expectation of quality goes out the window.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I got this. Keep going, though. I'm here. I'm listening.
No, that was it. That was it. I was just mourning fucking the quality of content, especially free content online for gaming. It's just, yeah. I don't know that there is a solution.
To answer your question, Blunt, yeah, we all watch anime.
Nah, I'm just wearing this shirt of this, space Nazi.
Yeah, we all wear it watching.
But so Axel Pockets. I remember.
Something about his dog ate homework.
Yeah,
So just actually think about it as homework.
I'm not exactly sure where they was going with that, but so yeah, thank y'all for going with that. Wow, he got you. He nailed you. He
Bro.
said Kenny watched Baki 100%.
Oh my god! Of
God, he
course,
pegged you.
of course.
He
Such
pegged
overflow. No.
Dog,
First of all, try again.
Baki,
Like,
my
what?
homeboy, dog. Like,
Dog, that's funny. This he paid.
Tell me one anime.
It's mostly just
That's
it's probably
fine.
it's mostly
Other than-
usually people that are like big in physique and everything like that. They consider most of those people watch Pocket Grappling. It's just a common ground thing.
Yeah,
But the fact that he knows that, I didn't know that, but he did. So
Hey, he knows his anime.
Yeah.
More than likely.
did you?
He got me wrong though. So he's bad at serious.
Oh,
anime.
he's 1 for 1.
1 for 2.
Wait. What do you mean? Who's the?
He said I watch Overflow. I don't.
Oh,
I don't even know what overflow is, bro.
me neither.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah. All right. Send us home, Dante.
So
Give me a hint. Nah, you dumpster me down here. Why would I give you a hint though?
yeah, he gave you L's for weeks.
Ooh, yeah.
But yeah, thank you for
Some
for Blunted
super weeks.
and Axel Pockets if you're still here. Like thank y'all for joining the stream. I'd like to thank Kenny.
One of those. Yo, what's up, bro?
No, I was saying thank you for joining in.
Oh yeah, no problem.
When you did. Jock and Alex, thank you again. Jock, now that I'm more aware of your abilities, I'll be looking forward to leaning on your expansive knowledge into art of marketing at some point, eventually.
I will be there for you.
So, but yeah, I'd like to thank everybody for joining in. Blended, thank you. This podcast is an hour 18 minutes long. I'm not complaining. It's good talk.
Oh, dang.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got tacos, so I'm about to go eat those.
He watched My Hero Academia with his nerd ass. So you go pick one of the biggest animes that most people have either guaranteed heard of or watched an episode of and say I'll watch it. What's the chance of someone watching anime who has not heard of that anime?
Yeah, my daughter watches My Hero Academia.
Yeah, like what?
That shit so many
That's
times.
literally you watch just so you can critique and talk to other people about why it may not be that good. That's like saying, "Oh, he watches Demon Slayer." Bitch, everyone watched Demon Slayer.
No, I don't.
It's like,
Yeah,
he
but
watched
you know,
Dragon
yeah.
Ball Z. Bitch, everyone watched Dragon Ball Z at some point.
Yeah, I was the only one that kind of that.
It's straight dookie. Demon Slayer. I wouldn't know. I don't watch that
See,
mainstream.
there
So.
it is. You proved my point. I watched Demon Slayer to tell people it ain't really that fire. It's pretty fucking basic. Pretty simple. Nothing you can do to change my mind on that one. Hell, they don't even explain their own mechanics. For example, why is Tanjiro's sword black? What does that color thing even mean for people who get their first sword?
Cowboy
They just
Bebop.
forgot about that in the first season. Hell yeah, I watched Cowboy Bebop. Oh, there we go. Now we're getting somewhere. Please stop
He
it.
grabbed the mic
Send us
closer
home.
to him.
Send us home before I open up a whole new podcast with this dude.
Wait, why are you showing the cat?
I don't know. He just came in.
Because people like cats.
For clicks,
I showed my
for
cat
clicks.
before, and I got so many new subscribers because I saw a cat. I was like, yo, I'm going to put a cat right here. I'm going to sell the cat soul for my stream.
Use the cat for clicks. But yeah, thank y'all for joining in. This has been entertaining as usual. Did you know Blunted actually did join the Discord, by the way?
Oh, nice.
Thank you for joining this.
Cool. Welcome.
No, don't thank him. He gave me L's. Be hostile.
No, but he gave Kenny a W though.
No, he gave
so
me an L now, so I'm
It
be
evens
hostile.
out. But once again, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all